It's Marley from the Energy Boutique, bringing you your November energy forecast. So October was an interesting month. Of course, we jumped into Scorpio season, where the main topics and themes were death, rebirth, resurrection, and transformation. And for many of my Leo friends, it hasn't been as bumpy and as turbulent as it has for other signs, mostly because as a fixed sign, we are seeing a final completion point, a final contentment point of a lot of the energy and efforts that got triggered and activated for you at the end of 2020. So coming into November, I am going to ask that you go ahead and listen to the November energy forecast, where I'm able to go into a little bit more depth, a little bit more detail on what these astro forecasts are going to mean for us. But November, we're still smack dab in the middle of Scorpio season. We are also in the middle of eclipse season. We just had that new moon partial solar eclipse in Scorpio on October 25th that highlighted for you the changes that have taken place in the home, in the family dynamic, in the foundation of who it is that you are and what it is that you're actually building upon and building towards. And of course, a lot of these changes were initiated and activated in the fall of 2021. We're coming into this eclipse energy, very eager to close the door on this wild card energy. And on November 8th, we will have the full moon total lunar eclipse taking place in Taurus energy, highlighting your 10th house. Your 10th house is your career. It is new karma, new roles, new responsibilities. Definitely where it is that you've had to boss up since late fall of 2021. Really take the power, the control back in your life to stabilize, to secure the new financial situation that was needed in order to kind of advance yourself forward, not only in your career, but also in your home life. There's definitely been some rocky parts in the home and in the career, mostly all revolving around the safety and security of the finances. And having the full moon totally illuminate for you where it is that you have locked in your energy, locked in the extra effort that you've put forth in securing a new level of financial stability because of the roles and responsibilities that you've taken on in the career. You're definitely going to be illuminated to where it is that you want to build from here. Now, the eclipse energy and the eclipse lessons that we've been learning since late fall of 2021 has been on this 4th house and 10th house for you. So the home and the family dynamic, the changes that have taken place there, the new foundation that you're looking to build off of. And of course, the 10th house of career and roles and responsibilities go hand in hand. What it is that you had to do outside of the home in order to lock in and kind of secure a new level of financial resources in order to stabilize some of the, I'm going to say, issues, topics, and themes that were a highlight point for the dysfunction and for the chaos in the home unit. So this particular story is going to take us into 2023, but this particular full moon event is definitely going to show us the third and final chapter of this particular series. And for many of my Leo friends, I feel like they're finding their groove. They're finding a place of contentment, a place of happiness, if you will. The last couple of years have been very challenging, and many of my Leo friends had to really boss up and align with the new truth, align with a new passion, a new desire, and really put their values in a different order, their priorities in a different order. And the hard work is finally paying off. Now, I will say that the majority of the energy is focused on your 5th house this month, the 5th house being your heart chakra that Leo naturally rules over. Of course, we're examining what it is that is our raw and vulnerable truth now that we've been able to peel back some of the layers around the heart space that we put up in order to protect ourselves from hurt, from pain, from suffering. However, we are getting back to the basics of realizing where it is that we have to open our hearts up and stand in a new truth and identify new passions, new happiness, new joys, new pleasures, new desires. And with that energy, we are going to see a lot of emphasis put on listening to your heart space as we move into Sagittarius energy. We start that little voyage on the 16th when Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and worth and pleasure and money, who just ruled over the full moon total lunar eclipse in Taurus, is moving out of Scorpio energy, thank goodness, and moving into Sagittarius. So in Scorpio energy, she was kind of focused on identifying her deepest, darkest desires and realizing that they were surrounded by a wall of her deepest, darkest fears. She was very focused on the one-on-one soul merging connections, the intimacy levels of her partnerships, and of course, having to dabble in the shadow realm. Things got a little bit dark, things got a little bit thick, things got a little bit challenging. But after peeling back the layers of that ego, of that pain, of that trauma, it left her in a brand new vulnerable state of truth, of wanting to experience things outside of the comfort zone / prison that she had created for herself. And moving into Sag energy is always the light at the end of the very dark tunnel. Now, Venus moving into Sag, she is more eager to bust out of the confines of her comfort zone to experience new things, especially where relationships are concerned. We are definitely more fun, definitely more fancy free, definitely more flirty, and just kind of looking for a brand new experience. Because this is highlighting the 5th house, you are definitely going to be triggered where new passions and new desires are really calling you to leave your comfort zone behind and maybe align with people or environments that you wouldn't normally put yourself in and normally wouldn't share interests with. The philosophical and spiritual context and concepts are one of great interest in Sagittarius energy, but mostly we just want to kind of dabble in things that are outside of our comfort zone and that are potentially, I'm going to say, mind opening as far as how other cultures operate, how other people live, how other people see the world. And of course, when we share these experiences and open our mind and heart space with other people, we tend to see a brand new world emerge. And that is exactly what we are looking to do in this Sag energy. On the 17th, we have Mercury moving into Sag. Mercury rules over the mental plane, rules over information and communication. And in Sag energy, we are definitely thinking big. We have big ideas. We have big goals, big ambitions. And there's nothing wrong with that, except for the fact that they're usually unrealistic. We bite off a little bit more than we can chew. We tend to overcommit, overstate our thoughts, our feelings. We do have to work very hard to use a filter when Mercury is in Sag because we're very straightforward, we're very blunt, we're very to the point. And although there's nothing wrong with that, we tend to hurt people's feelings when we are as raw and unfiltered as Mercury in Sag has us being. So it is a good idea to definitely think before you speak. Now, Mercury moving into Sag is definitely pushing us to expand our minds, to open our minds up. And in this 5th house that the heart chakra rules over, it would be advisable to also open up that heart space and see where your perspective, where your understanding, where your memories have created a little bit of a limitation, a little bit of a block around your heart space, and of course, setting you up for some not so nice emotions. This is about breaking the walls down. It's about really understanding where, if we open our mind and our heart space up to new understandings, perceptions, and perspectives in life, that we are actually able to change the way that we feel. This is also really going to help you identify new passions, new desires, especially new creative projects that you want to jump into. Again, we are thinking very big, very grand, and we are also kind of renewing, I guess, our confidence, our optimism in ourselves and what it is that we believe to be true and what it is that we believe to be obtainable. So with the 5th house kind of on point for you, your creativity is definitely going to be unleashed at a brand new level. And you really do need to kind of focus in your mental plane on what it is that brings you a sense of happiness, pleasure, and joy. On the 22nd, we have the sun moving into Sagittarius energy. And of course, this will also be in the 5th house. So the sun is your ruler, which means that the sun being in a fire sign, a sister fire sign to you in Sag, is a good vibe for you. Now, this is going to open this heart space up. This is going to shine a bright light on this new adventure, this new quest that you are excited to take. We have a new spark being reignited coming out of Scorpio season and jumping into Sag season. And this is definitely going to push you into wanting to learn something new, especially where spiritual and philosophical topics are concerned, where creative hobbies are concerned. This is also going to put you in a position to probably want to bust out and travel a little bit more. Of course, Sag rules over travel, but mostly it's going to really connect you with a lot of the big feels that maybe have been hidden away, especially in Scorpio season, where we had to kind of uncover what it is that we're actually desiring, what it is that we actually want to pursue. This is as raw and as vulnerable and authentic as we get. And the sun shining a bright light on where it is that we need to pour our time and our energy into is definitely getting in touch with the heart space and seeing what kind of spark, what kind of fire, what kind of flame is getting ignited within us and where it is that we want to kind of pursue new passions and new desires from here. On the 23rd, we have the new moon taking place in Sagittarius. And yep, you guessed it. This is in the 5th house. So the new moon in Sag is actually taking place at 1 degree. And this is setting us up for a brand new 2.5 year cycle. And the hardest part with the Sag energy is trying to focus in on what our goals actually are. It's almost like we have too many interests, too many opportunities. We're excited about too many things. We have too many irons in the fire with this Sag energy. And we really do have to take the time to sit down and really redefine where it is that we want to pour our time and energy into. Now, in the 5th house, again, this is a key factor of coming into that heart space, listening to what it is that excites that heart space, what it is that you're passionate about, what it is that you feel a desire to actually pursue. And in the Sag energy, we are thinking big, we are feeling big, we are really kind of aligning with the biggest dream we could possibly conjure up at this time, and just realize and recognize that we will have to kind of shrink that dream down a little bit when we move into Capricorn season. But right now, this is about really acknowledging where it is in your life that you're happy, that you're satisfied, that you're content, and recognizing where it is that you want to build on, making sure that those particular aspects stay the same while pushing the boundaries of that particular happiness, contentment, and satisfaction out into a new adventure, a new quest for life, for zest, for spice. What's interesting is just hours after this new moon in Sag takes place, on the same day, we have Jupiter, who rules over the new moon in Sag, who rules over Sag season and all this Sag energy in your 5th house, going direct in Pisces energy. So we have Jupiter, who is the planet of growth and expansion, beliefs, blessings, abundance, who just crept back into Piscean waters at the end of October, going direct in your 8th house. So I want to rewind you to the end of 2020, where there was a lot of things going on in life that just didn't feel good. There was a lot of endings. There was a lot of closures. There was a lot of things that were just kind of coming up in life that we were having a hard time letting go of. And of course, we looked at it at that time as if things were falling apart and as if it was a punishment, not realizing that we were creating a space for new elements to actually be created and born into. And we're essentially bringing to a close what it is that we were trying to master, what it is we were trying to bring to life at the end of 2020. And Jupiter going direct in Pisces means that we've had the time to kind of rest and relax and rejuvenate ourselves. We've had the time to reconnect with our higher self and with our intuition. We've had the time to redefine what it is that our goals and our dreams are. And now we're moving forward. We're taking what it is that we've learned, and now we're willing to make some changes, some improvements to actually bring this life lesson full circle. Jupiter will be direct in Pisces, taking us all the way up to December 20th, the day before the winter solstice. And at that time, we are going to see Jupiter re-enter into Aries energy, giving us a little bit of a flashback back to May of this year. We definitely jumped into something new. We were trying to initiate a brand new chapter, a brand new beginning. We were forcefully trying to make things happen in our lives, and it might not have panned out the way that we were hoping for. This is essentially a redo. This is a refresh of what it is that we set out to do at the beginning of 2022, and setting us up for a beautiful opportunity to do things in a better way, especially preparing us to move into 2023. So there is a lot coming to a beautiful fruition, a beautiful completion point in this 8th house of death, rebirth, and transformation for you. And if you take the time to look back at the end of 2020 and where it is that some tough love life lessons were thrown at you, likely in the 4th and 10th house of your home and family dynamics versus your career and your financial safety and security, this is where you're bringing things full circle, where you're finally rectifying some of the things that weren't working so good and preparing yourself to move on and to boss up to the next stage of your goals and ambitions. So some of the messages that I would like for you to focus on as you move through the month of November, first of all, is actually reaching your goals that you had set out for yourself, likely taking you back, like I said, to the end of 2020, or even still the pressure point was fall, the November 2021 fall time. That's when the eclipse season started on this 4th and 10th house for you, between your house, your home, your family dynamics, your career, your finances, your roles and responsibilities. And now, seeing that you have accomplished a certain amount of goals, this is like a clean slate for you, where you don't have to work so hard, where things are going to come a little bit more organically and naturally, where it is that you've kind of reached certain goals and markers on your to-do list, and now you can set your sights on what it is that you want to do from here. It does feel like there is a new foundation that you're operating from. Again, finding a sense of peace and contentment in your life is a major foundation for you to be building off of. And I feel like the money situation is a lot more favorable now than it has been over these last 2.5 years, which puts you in a great position to actually set your sights on what it is that you want to accomplish from here. Now, what you're being asked to do this month is to figure out what it is that you actually want to do from here. Again, where the 5th house is kind of on spotlight for you this month, this is about getting very raw, very real with yourself, really, really truthful and honest with what it is that your heart is asking you to do. Your head, because it is mostly ruled over by the ego self, might have different goals and different plans for you than what it is that your heart is asking for you to do next. So this is about sitting down and really contemplating your options and really recognizing that there's so many things that you could be doing, that you want to be doing. Again, playing into the Sag energy, kind of having too many irons in the fire. It is advisable that you sit down and give some very, very good thought to kind of whittling it down to a couple of different choices that are actually manageable and that you're actually going to be able to accomplish, especially prior to that new moon in Sag on the 23rd. That is really going to require you to hone in and be very focused on setting some intentions on what it is that you want to bring to life and experience for this next 2.5 year cycle. Lastly, I think that you just have to congratulate yourself on doing what you had to do in order to make things better in your life. I feel like the chaos, the craziness, the energy and effort that you had to put into stabilizing certain areas of your life has finally come to a completion point. That's not to say that you're done with whatever it is that you had to do in order to bring that safety and security to your life. It just means that now it's part of who it is that you are. It's part of your day. It's not something new and something challenging that you're looking to incorporate in your routine or have discipline in order to keep up with. This is almost like, you know what? I've accomplished it. I have a lot to celebrate. I'm going to give myself some kudos. I'm just going to kind of sit in this moment of peace and harmony and contentment. And from here, just kind of soak it all in, because I worked my ass off. I've been through a ton of pain and struggle in order to get here. And I just want to enjoy the moment for just a second, knowing that things are about to change. So Leo, that is your November in a nutshell. I hope that some of the messages really resonated with you, and that, of course, you give yourself a lot of celebratory moments in at least achieving some of the goals that you had set out for yourself just a year and a half ago. I really encourage you to be very honest with yourself and really sink into that heart space and listen to what new passions, what new desires are calling at you to pursue. And also just make sure that you're not changing too much at one time, and that you're still being able to maintain the type of activities, the type of routine, the type of discipline that you've worked so hard to actually stabilize. I hope you have a beautiful November, and we'll talk to you soon.